next to Bianca could explain what a vinyl record is, and it goes on this thing called a record player. Yeah. So thanks for everybody being here. Welcome back, colleagues. I hope you all had a restful July. I'm gonna, well, not me. Shane is going to work you to death in August. So just to put that out there. Reminding everybody that tonight's meeting is recorded. Tonight's invocation will be given by Lisa Cole, our town clerk, and the pledge will be led by Carlos Serrano, an 8th grade student at Wrights and Ridge. And we're doing something a little different. He's a clarinet player, clarinetist. So after the pledge, he's going to play the national anthem. So we've never had that before, so I thought that was a really lovely thing that he volunteered to do. So yeah, that'll be a treat for us. So, Madam Clerk.
Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance tonight. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Carlos. And while you're making your way up, I wanted to thank the family for being here because I think you doubled our audience just by coming, so we appreciate that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Absolutely. Thank you. Right on. Thanks for being here and thanks for doing that. I know that's not an easy thing to do. And on a side note, I'm very jealous of your hair. So just saying. I wish I could have a haircut like that. I can't anymore, unfortunately. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll?
Councilmember Bracco.
Here.
Councilmember Davis. Councilmember Gillespie.
Here.
Councilmember Morales. Here. Councilmember Priolo. Here. Vice Mayor Egbert. Here. Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Tonight we have one presentation. Be presenting a proclamation declaring August 2024 as Drowning Impact Awareness Month to Jody Layton of the Drowning Prevention Coalition of Arizona Board member. So Jody, if you could join me at the podium. And I know this has been a number of years that we have done this, and we appreciate everybody's efforts doing it, especially with the chief here of our fire department. I know it's very important to him as well. Whereas Arizona's future prosperity depends upon the long-term health, safety, and well-being of nearly 2 million children and teens in our state. And whereas drowning is a top cause of injury and death for children and teens in Arizona, affecting not only the victims but also their families, emergency personnel, and our society as a whole. And whereas child drownings are nearly 100% preventable, whereas research-proven strategies can save lives, including constant and capable supervision, restricting access to water, use of life jackets, swim lessons for adults and children at the appropriate age, and rapid emergency response, including CPR. And whereas awareness of the problem is just the first step, evidence-based programs to bring these strategies to families and the best way to save lives. And whereas during the month of August, the Drowning Prevention Coalition of Arizona, in collaboration with state and local governments, community organizations, and private citizens, will engage communities throughout Arizona in a coordinated and comprehensive response. Now, therefore, it be resolved that I, Tom Murphy, the mayor of the town of Sahuarita, on behalf of the town council, do hereby proclaim August 2024 as Drowning Impact Awareness Month. I urge all communities and citizens of Arizona to participate in the efforts to reduce drowning risk, strengthen families, and protect children and teens, and testimony whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the town of Sahuarita on this 12th day of August 2024. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And we're going to, you want to grab a picture? Mhm.
I'll just say thank you
Okay.
real quick.
Sure.
I just wanted to thank you, Mayor Murphy, and the town council. You guys have been so supportive for many years. It has been a very rough summer. We've been fortunate in Pima County. We've had 3 water-related incidents. One, unfortunately, was fatal, but the Phoenix area, the Maricopa and Pinal counties have really had some outrageous numbers this summer. So I just urge everyone, if you have a pool, friends, family, pools you go to, lakes you go to, please just be that person that is vigilant and making sure that somebody's got eyes on everybody swimming. It really makes a difference because somebody always thinks somebody else is watching. So we appreciate your support so much.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Next, we have call to the public. Individuals may speak for 3 minutes, spokespersons 10. The council cannot discuss matters not on the agenda. However, at the end of the call to the public, council members may respond to criticism, request staff to review the matter, or add the topic to a future agenda item. And we have our very own Chief Wonder here. I guess we can call very own because now you have the whole town.
That's right. Excited to be there. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, good evening. It's good to see you again. I just wanted to take a brief moment and give a nice shout out for some support that I received as well as Santa Rita Fire District received from both Parks and Rec and from Public Works. I'm not sure if you know this, but during the fire season, the heat of the fire season, along with fireworks, gives fire chiefs chest pain. And so as we were preparing for the 4th of July celebration in here, obviously we had our concerns as we were preparing for that. And so we were working hard pre-fireworks show to make sure we mitigated those risks. And I just wanted to give a shout out first to Dylan, who's coordinating from the Parks and Rec side of the house. He was my direct contact, and he was working with both departments, his and the own, and they did a marvelous job. So Alex Roman, did I say that correctly? Alex was gracious enough to cut some fire breaks against the church back here. I had concerns about that, and so we cut some fire breaks there. There was some mowing done by Mario Troutwine, as well as the digging of all the holes for the fireworks in that setup there. And then on the public works side with Nala's team over there, both John Lera and David Yerkides, as I say that, Yerkides, or I like it being better, his nickname, is that Chachi? I like that. I need a nickname like that. But anyway, I wanted to recognize those. They, for several days prior to the event, were wetting down the area, and that day of the event, they continued to wet the area, not only in the shooting area, but in the area even east of Lavalita Road. So we ended up with only 2 small incidents that night. We were able to quickly mitigate them, and nothing spread. It was contained to the control area. So just a kudos for the great relationship and all the hard work. Keep in mind, it was 104, 105 when these guys were doing this work out there on their tractors. So very grateful, and they made it a very safe event. So thank you.
Thanks for being here, and thanks
Absolutely.
for the shout out. Appreciate it. Would anybody, that's the only speaker card I had. Would anybody else like to address the council? Seeing no movement, I will declare the call to public closed and move on to council and town manager brief summary of events. Councilmember Brecko. Simon? Debbie? Diane?
I wanted to thank everybody that may have voted for me. Thank you very much.
And maybe the other
appreciate
ones
it.
that voted for other people too, right? We're grateful for voters in particular, right, period. It was like, I think it was like a 31% or something turnout, so obviously 70% of the people stayed home, which isn't good. Dr. Gillespie? Kara?
Just because we're low on announcements, I guess I will share. This Friday, my son will be doing an Eagle project for the town of Sahuarita. So the trailhead off of Quail Crossing will get some new rock instead of dirt with mud, and new signage for the Deonza Trail.
Oh,
so
super.
that's something that's happening this Friday.
Good. And I'll try to keep it succinct and brief. Attended the police academy graduation, so shout out to one of our recent officers that came on board. Thanks to the police department as well. We had the Kids Care Fair, back to school Kids Care Fair, back in person again this year. So the police supported it with Officer Petty and Big Al and Smiley and the 4x4, wheeling vehicles and all of that. Had a chance to participate in the Chamber. Randy's here. Where's Randy? Did he already do so? Oh, there he is. Chamber golf tournament. Myself and Carlos had I'm a little tired. I had to carry Nalo and Devin on our back as a golf team, but other than that, it was a really good event. And then we're celebrating our 30th year, and I've attended 2 recent U of A Tech Park celebrating their 30th year, and they're 1 month older than we. They established in August of 1994, and we are September. And then last Friday, Power of Photonics celebrated their 1-year anniversary in our town. 20 years is Power of Photonics out of the UK, and 30 years for the town. So they had a 20-year cake and a 30-year cake. They're really expanding, and I got a chance to talk to some of their workforce that's grown over time that happen to live in the town of Sahuarita. So that was really cool from that perspective. I could go on, but I'm not. So I have my council members still talking to me. Mr. Dilly, would you like to touch on anything in particular? I know this is not the one for the major update, but.
Just briefly, Mayor, thank you. Welcome back. It's good to see you guys. Hope you enjoyed your summer recess. I'd have just a couple items to cover. Is Devin?
He's in the back, yep.
Devin, come on up. Let's shed a little spotlight on Devin as he's walking up.
You're not going to offer him golf lessons, are you? Offer an extra?
Well, don't worry. You've got 2 more Monday meetings, so you can fill it in later.
Gotcha. We just learned earlier today some very exciting news. Devin just was informed that he passed the Certified Parks and Recreation Executive Designation Award from the National Recreation and Parks Association, NRPA. This is the highest certification level that a professional in the industry can achieve through the NRPA. Devin has now joined a very short list of distinguished people. That list consists, in the state of Arizona, that list consists of 20 people in the state that's achieved this. And I'd like to congratulate Devin. And my comments is that you do the town very proud, Devin. Thank you for your leadership and your commitment to this community and to this organization. Thank you.
Thanks, Devin.
Also want to remind the council we do have a packed August. We've got a joint meeting with the school board on the 19th. I had a meeting with Superintendent Valenzuela, and all that's going very, very well. In terms of preparation, we're excited to have this conversation with you. We'll be covering 2 primary points. One is on our collaboration as joint entities here in this community, serving the residents and the businesses, and how well we're working with each other in our IGAs and joint use facilities agreement. The other point is on public safety, primarily dealing with our students on campus. The development of that policy, which is a department level policy, so staff driven, is really geared to just help encapsulate the collaboration between the police department and school officials when we need to interact with students from a law enforcement perspective. And so we're excited to present that policy as information for the council and the school board to hear and ask any questions. And then moving to the August 26th meeting, right before the League of Cities and Towns conference, we'll have likely a lot of residents here. Planning and Zoning Commission acted on an item, unanimously approved, and then that'll be coming for you for final action on a specific plan amendment for Region 9, the Rancho Sahuarita development. And associated with that meeting, we'll have an executive session that starts at 4:30. We've got 3 items on that agenda, and we need some time to get through that material. And then I wanted to let you know, so I serve on the AMRP board, that's the Risk Retention Board, where we get our liability coverage insurance. And they're having an annual retreat the day before the conference begins. So that Wednesday and Tuesday, I'm sorry, that Monday and Tuesday. And so I'll actually be in Phoenix for that. And so Beth will be covering the meeting that Monday night, the 26th. I'll participate in the executive session virtually, and then she'll be here to cover the meeting in my place.
Shane, the 19th meeting is here
It is.
at
Yes.
5.
At 5 o'clock, yes, thank you. And it'll be set up similar to how we did the school or the zoo board that came. We'll just be down here on the floor.
The Sahuarita Safari.
The Sahuarita Safari board in that fashion. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. And just as a reminder, the 19th, as Shane mentioned, is our next joint meeting. Item number 8 is consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Madam Clerk, item number 9.
Public hearing and recommendation to the Arizona Department of Revenue regarding a Class A bingo license application by the Quail Creek Bingo Club to conduct bingo games on Thursday beginning at 6 p.m. at the Madera Clubhouse, 2055 East Quail Crossing Boulevard, Green Valley, Arizona, within the incorporated limits of the town of Sahuarita.
Thank you. And Leah Rhodes, our deputy clerk, will present this item, and this may be one of her last official, other than training Bianca on what a vinyl record and record player is before she leaves. But I just wanted to congratulate you. I know it's been a journey to get your degree and ultimate goal to be the town clerk, which I know you'll be becoming up in Camp Verde. So thanks for all your service
Thank
to
you.
our
It's been a
town and
pleasure.
everything that you've done. And I'm glad you're here presenting on this last item. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Town Council, before you tonight is a Class A bingo license. It was submitted on July 25th from the Quail Creek Bingo Club. The purpose of the license is to conduct bingo games on Thursdays at 6 p.m. at the Madera Clubhouse at 2055 East Quail Crossing Boulevard. A Class A licensee generally obtains a license for the recreational and social purposes of returning all gross receipts to the players in prizes. A Class A licensee cannot exceed $75,000 annually in gross receipts and must file an annual financial report with the Arizona Department of Revenue. A copy of the attached application was distributed to the necessary town departments for review, and there were no objections to the issuance of the license. So tonight, we're asking council to make a recommendation of approval or disapproval of the bingo license application to the Arizona Department of Revenue.
Thanks. Who could object to bingo? I mean, that just putting that on the record. Just saying.
Pressure.
Spoken like a true Catholic.
Absolutely. Well, no, we could make that we could make that an emotion on there. So, does anybody have any questions for Lisa? This does require a public hearing, so I have to open and close one. But
For
any
pub-
questions for Leah? No. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Would anybody like to address the council on bingo? Seeing no movement, I will close the public hearing. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
move to submit the Class A bingo license requested by Quail Creek Bingo Club to the Arizona Department of Revenue with a recommendation for approval.
Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
You better.
Other than hopefully occasionally, maybe a couple of us will be invited? I'm just saying. I'm not putting that in the form of a motion. I'm just throwing it out there. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thanks for being
We
here.
saved Simon from having pitchforks in his front yard.
That's right, absolutely. Anything to save pitchforks. Madam Clerk, item number 10.
Discussion and possible adoption of resolution number 2024-0802, declaring and adopting the results of the Town of Sahuarita primary election held on July 30th, 2024.
And you're presenting this item, so just continue, please.
So if I may.
You may.
This evening, Honorable Mayor and Council, before you is a resolution adopting the results of the July 30th, 2024 primary election. Our turnout locally here was slightly better than the overall turnout. We got 32.2%.
Okay.
20,689 valid votes were cast, resulting in the election of our 4 candidates to the office of council member. Those candidates who are elected are Stephen Gillespie, Kimberly Lisk, Ed Lytle, and Diane Priolo.
It was a cliffhanger, I know. I hope you two didn't stay up really late watching the returns.
And those elected officials will be sworn in and officially take office at the end of the town council meeting on November 12th.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Lisa? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I move to adopt resolution number 2024-0802.
Would Ms. Priolo like to second that motion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations to our 2 still serving candidates. And we'll say goodbye to our old timers on the right later. But obviously, many thanks for all your service to our community. More to come on that. Item number 11, Madam Clerk.
Discussion and possible approval of a financial participation agreement, contract number 250013, with the Green Valley Sahuarita Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center for a funding partnership for economic development in the amount of $25,000, commencing July 1st, 2024, and terminating June 30th, 2025.
Thank you. And Victor Gonzalez, our Economic Development and Public Affairs Director, will present this item. And we have Randy Graff, the CEO of the local chamber, if anybody has any questions. Thanks, Victor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm going to turn over my time to Randy Graff. He's going to provide us with an update of all things that are taking place in our local Chamber of Commerce. Randy?
Thank you, Victor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, esteemed council members and community members. Just 3 quick things before I get into this. First, I appreciate the scheduler. Last time I think I was up here, it was on a Monday night when my Packers were playing Monday Night Football, so I appreciate that. 2, I didn't play in our own chamber golf tournament this year because I feared the team from the town led by the mayor, and I appreciate your support of the bingo tonight. More than 20 years ago when I was in the legislature, we had a room full of retired ladies from the gardening clubs all over the state supporting us adopting the yellow-tailed swallowtail as a state butterfly. And we did not have the courage to go against them in any way, shape, or form. So well done on that. But it's an honor to speak to you this evening and share with you the progress and the ongoing partnership between our chamber and the town of Sahuarita. Our chamber was established in 1979 as the Green Valley Chamber of Commerce. Shortly after the town's incorporation, we became the Green Valley Sahuarita Chamber of Commerce, reflecting our expanded commitment to both communities. Now today, we proudly serve 417 members, reaching from Phoenix to Nogales, Sonora. These members include a diverse mix of nonprofits, clubs, home-based businesses, brick-and-mortar establishments, and even a couple of Fortune 500 companies. Of the 417 members, 195 of them are based in Green Valley, and 100 of them are based within the incorporated limits of the town of Sahuarita. Our mission is clear. Our mission statement states that we champion opportunities for businesses in our community to prosper. We believe that a strong community needs a strong business community, and having a partner like the town of Sarita is crucial in making that happen. The Chamber is dedicated to supporting our members and all businesses in our community in several key ways. One is through advocacy. We maintain strong relationships with elected officials advocating for policies that foster business growth. Networking opportunities. We provide numerous networking opportunities, allowing members to connect and collaborate with fellow chamber members. We provide marketing support to our members through efforts of our public events, our website, our email newsletters, and our social media platforms, along with our print publications. And then resources. We connect our members with vital resources, including the town's Growing Sarita program, which is a tremendous asset to the local business community. Now, the town of Sarita has been a great ally to our business community and a strong partner to the Chamber. Sarita is the most business-friendly town in the state, if not the country. The support and collaboration we receive from the town are unparalleled, and the business community couldn't ask for more. From the use of your facilities to our participation in community events like Fiesta Sarita, Stars and Stripes, and Trunk or Treat, our partnership is thriving. As we speak, the Chamber is organizing the town's 30th anniversary Sarita State of the Town Luncheon, scheduled for Wednesday, September 18th at the Desert Diamond Casino. This is my favorite event of the year, where the mayor delivers an outstanding presentation on the town's accomplishments, both past and what's coming up in the future. Now, before I conclude, I'd like to take a moment to recognize a few individuals who have gone above and beyond supporting the Chamber. Councilmember Gillespie, who's currently a member of the Chamber of Commerce with his business. Councilmember Bracco, a former member of the Chamber, former board member and board chair of the Chamber. Councilmember Morales has stepped up on numerous occasions asking if we needed her help in setting up events for the town and whatnot, so we certainly appreciate that. Mayor Murphy, who has a strong history with the Chamber and a long history with the Chamber, including serving as a board member. We were trying to figure out when it was. I'm going to have to look through the archives, but served on our board of directors.
It was way back when he had a job.
I was going to say, is that calling me old? You have to go through the archives? I know.
We'll get that information to you. I appreciate Town Manager Shane Dilley, who's been actively participating in our executive roundtable that we started up last year, which has been a tremendous opportunity to meet with some of our leaders in the community, and I certainly count Shane as one of them. And then last but not least, Victor Gonzalez, who just completed 6 years on our board of directors, with the last year serving as our board chair, and still supporting us and instrumental in helping us establish our public policy agenda. So, once again, the participation with the town and of the town has been tremendous, and I look forward to continuing our strong relationship with the town. Together, we can ensure that our community and businesses continue to thrive. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
And I thank you for your time and continued support.
I appreciate that. And you said 500 people were going to be at the State of the Town this year, right?
I believe you said there would be 500
maybe I said
people.
that. Maybe it wasn't you.
Last
Okay.
year, we had officially 407,
Right.
so we're trying to surpass that anyway.
Right.
You've moved us to a Wednesday, which
That's right. It might be a little bit of a redo.
Fridays,
right?
it's somewhat easier maybe to get folks to show up for a luncheon, maybe have a cocktail or two and knock off early for the weekend.
Absolutely.
On a Wednesday, that'd be a very long weekend, but we're working on it.
Thanks. And I guess my biggest question will be, when are we going to be called the Sahuarita Green Valley Chamber of Commerce? I'll rescind my question.
I know you've been working on that for some time, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely.
We'll have those discussions behind closed doors. I think you know some of my prerequisites for that. So
Absolutely. Thank you.
We'll continue the discussion.
Any questions from either for Victor or for Randy? No? If not?
I just don't think you should rescind that question.
No.
I think it's
No.
I think it's a legitimate question.
This is first night back at 3 meetings in August.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna-
okay.
I'm gonna
Mr.
be
Mayor,
nice.
can I indulge in a little history
Yes.
lesson? So I remember being on the council, and the participation the town had was that we were a member. That was it.
Right.
We were a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And then it was one of those discussions of, we need to be more involved in participating and supporting the Chamber of Commerce, because supporting them supports our community, makes it a healthy community. And so I was on that council when we decided to be like, it's time to give more to the Chamber of Commerce and support it in a bigger, better way than to just be a member. So
Good.
I'm looking
Nice
forward to
history
voting
lesson.
again to this.
If
Thank
not,
you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Move to approve contract number 250013.
Do I have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously without the answer to my question. So there you go, Randy. Thank you.
I know the answer. As soon as we have more businesses than Green Valley, then you can make an argument.
Okay.
We'll be
We'll
back.
work on that.
We'll be back.
That's on Victor.
Thank you.
We can do that. Madam Clerk, item number 12.
Discussion and possible direction regarding the Arizona League of Cities and Towns annual resolutions.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett, our management analyst for, I don't know, no, not anymore, right?
No.
This is like a,
This is side gig now.
yeah, side gig, curtain call. That's what a word I was looking for, kind of a curtain call. We'll be covering this. And just a quick update for a lot of the council members. You know, previously, I'm the voting member for the resolution committee, and the town council said, well, you know, we trust you, go do it. But now that we are getting a little more mature, we wanted to make sure everybody was briefed on kind of what was coming down the pike, so to speak, and have a chance to weigh in. But let it be known, I always think of how we operate here, and we'll bring that same voice, you know, to the resolutions committee. Nathan, please.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, it is a pleasure to be here tonight. I did start my new position today.
How was it today?
But I'm here giving a legislative update, so that either means that Shane is having a hard time letting go, or I am. And if I were a betting man, I would bet on the latter. So tonight we're going to be talking about league resolutions. We'll talk about what the process is, talk about the purpose as well as the process, what the schedule on that is, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes and talk about what are the 2024 proposed resolutions, and hopefully have a discussion as a council on what we want the mayor to support, or be neutral on, or even oppose possibly at the resolutions committee. So let's talk first, you know, what is the league resolutions? We're talking, obviously, the League of Arizona Cities and Towns. Every year they go through this process to come up with a set of resolutions which sets their work plan for the coming legislative session. These are the things that the league will spend their limited resources on in trying to advance policy proposals at the legislature come January. As we discuss these resolutions, and this is a theme that I'm going to return to a couple times tonight, the question isn't whether these resolutions are good or bad, it's are these resolutions what we want the league to be spending their time on. Many of these resolutions are very good ideas, and I would hope that somebody champions them this year. But again, that's not the question before the council tonight. It's, you know, do we want the league to be the champion for these resolutions? So this begins at the grassroots level. A city or town will propose a policy resolution that they'd like to see, some change that they'd like to see in state law or in state policy or procedure. Those proposed resolutions are then assigned to one of 5 policy subcommittees, and then the policy subcommittees convene to discuss that issue and make recommendations to the resolutions committee as a whole. Those recommendations could be, let's adopt this as a resolution. It could be, let's drop this thing like a thing
Hot
that you
potato.
drop quickly. Or it could even be, let's seek out a non-legislative solution for this issue. Once those recommendations are made, the resolutions committee meets to discuss the resolutions, and then those that are adopted by the resolutions committee are then forwarded to the annual business meeting of the league. This might make a little bit more sense if we're looking at the schedule. Those policy subcommittees meet in May and June. They have already met this year. In July, the list of proposed resolutions starts circulating, and that's kind of where we're at right now. come August 27th and 29th, as part of the annual league conference, the resolutions committee will meet on the first day of that conference, and then 2 days later, the annual business meeting. Again, as a reminder, the resolution committee makes or will vote on which resolutions to forward, and they don't become official league policy resolutions until the annual business meeting adopts them. So this year, these are the 5 policy subcommittees that I had mentioned. Budget, Finance, and Economic Development Committee, General Administration, Human Resources. I'm not going to read all of them, but I do want to point out that our mayor is the chair of the Public Safety, Military Affairs, and the Courts Subcommittee. And so we thank him for his service on that committee. As you can see from the tallies here, not every subcommittee is required to forward a resolution. The Transportation, Infrastructure, and Public Works Committee, they did have a couple issues that they did discuss. I know at least one of those issues, they determined we're going to seek a non-legislative solution for this issue. And so 0 resolutions have been forwarded to the Greater Resolutions Committee. Okay, so as we get to the staff recommendations, I would divide staff recommendations into 3 categories. The first are support. We have no issues recommending support for a resolution that furthers one or both of the primary goals of the league. Those primary goals are to protect municipal revenues and to protect local autonomy. If a resolution does one or both of those things, staff is very on board and gives a very strong recommendation of let's support that resolution at the resolution committee. In the middle ground, rather than take a neutral necessarily, for those resolutions where neither of those league priorities are being advanced, we invite the council to discuss those issues and whether those are worth having the league pursue in the coming legislative session. Again, and I said I was going to return to this, the question isn't, are these good resolutions? It's, is this where we want the league spending their time? And then finally, there's the possibility of a staff recommendation for oppose, although this year staff is not making any recommendations to oppose a resolution. So we've dodged that bullet. So this is a table that I've set up to hopefully make it a little bit easier to discuss the resolutions. I'm going to jump around on this table a little bit, because having a table makes it too easy, so I'm going to make it a little bit harder. So first off, I want to call your attention to BFED number 1, as well as NSQL number 1. So the first resolution and the 5th resolution. Both of these resolutions, neither of these resolutions really have a specific piece of legislation attached to them. Rather, their intent is to undo or mitigate some of the less desirable things that the legislature has done in the last couple of years. In the 2 years that I have been in the position of tracking legislation, what I've seen is the repeal of the municipal rental tax. That was done a year and a half ago. And then in this last session, there were a number of bills that passed that did constrain the local autonomy that we have as cities and towns to zone for attainable or even below market housing, taking away some of that ability that we have locally to come up with solutions that work best for our community. So BFED 1 and NSQL 1, the purpose of those is to try to unroll or mitigate the effect of those actions. Going back up to BFED 2, authorizing municipalities to use tax increment financing. This would just put a tool in our tool belt. Whether we use it or not would be up to AC and Shane, I suppose, but it would be nice to have that tool in that toolbox. And then on NSQL 1, restore local control. No, I already mentioned that one. PSMAC 2, that's the one I wanted to go to. And Mayor, is that what you call your committee? PSMAC, because that's how I read it when
Yes.
Okay. PSMAC 2. This is actually kind of a fun, a fun little piece of policy. Currently, and forgive me, John, if I oversimplify this, but cities and towns generally have immunity from being sued for the criminal actions of their employees. However, that immunity does not extend to criminal actions in a vehicle. So the town of Sahuarito could be sued if an employee conducts a felony in a town vehicle. However, the courts have recently interpreted and expanded that language such that it doesn't matter who's driving that town vehicle. We could still be sued if the town vehicle is used in a crime of some sort. So, for example, worst case scenario, someone goes to our back parking lot, steals a car, conducts some vehicular mayhem, and the town does not have immunity to being sued.
Talking about the legislature now.
Yes. So PSMAC 2 would close that loophole. It would also clarify whether it's an immunity or an affirmative defense. The difference between those two is when you can raise that defense in the litigation process. Sooner is better than later. The sooner you can raise a defense, the less time you have to, and less time and money you have to spend defending the silly lawsuit. So having true immunity means you can raise that issue, raise your immunity, raise that defense early on in the litigation process and get it dismissed early. Currently, the interpretation is that it is an affirmative defense, which means you have to wait until after discovery. And so at that point, you've already spent money on this silly piece of litigation. So that would clarify that. So those four, staff is very confident about recommending to the mayor that he supports these four in the resolutions committee. The other three we recommend, let's have a discussion tonight about them. GAHRE 1, G-A-H-R-E 1. This would make Lisa's life, I'm not sure if a lot easier or a little bit easier, but it would make her life easier. Currently, currently state law says that the town clerk has the responsibility to check resolutions for strict compliance with state law and the Constitution. However, the courts have said she can't enforce that. So it kind of puts her in an awkward situation when a citizen comes and files for a referendum. She has to check, she has to, what's the language she used here? Ensure compliance without enforcing compliance. So GAHRE 1 would close that loophole and give town clerks the authority to enforce that particular provision. GAHRE 2, currently state law allows a campaign for local office to transfer their campaign funds to a campaign for a statewide office. However, a candidate cannot make that transfer in the other direction, cannot transfer funds from a statewide office campaign to a local campaign.
This is for themselves.
For themselves, yes.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify.
Staff is, I said we weren't making recommendations tonight, but I think on this one, we're fairly neutral on this. We're not sure, that we have a dog in that fight. The league discussion, the league justification for this resolution is improving the quality of candidates for local office, encouraging people with experience in government to run for local office. Whether that's worth supporting this resolution, like I said, we encourage a discussion amongst the council tonight. Finally, PSMAC 4. This allows public bodies to withhold identifying information about a victim or witness to a crime. We have received some media inquiries about this, wanting to make sure that this sort of resolution doesn't cross into some First Amendment territory, the right of the press to know what's going on in the community. I've talked to Rona, our town prosecutor. Her position is it really depends on how the resulting bill is written. This is the sort of resolution that could go either way in terms of good or bad, and it really depends on what the proposed bill would look like. So,
Can I touch on that one just quickly?
yes, you were on the piece map. So you might,
Because part of where the discussion was, the heading of it was withholding records in general. And that's not, if you go to the A and the B subcategory of it, it was you can withhold information, address, social security number of victims and witnesses, but not everybody can withhold. I think we do, but not everybody withholds the name. So it was preventing see something, say something, because there's been a couple high-profile cases up in Phoenix where anybody can do a public records request, and everybody's a media person now. So when I talked to the media on it, I clarified that it was just to add the redaction of the name, not the record, not the whole thing.
You don't
So-
want to be victimized again.
Right, exactly.
By-
And that was the
by
whole
idiots.
discussion. And the whole subcommittee voted unanimously to support that. And just as a background, mine had two that didn't make it through because, as Nathan mentioned, you can, just say no to it. We can study it further or approve it. And typically what happens, I think in all my years, I've only seen one go to the resolutions committee and be overturned because so much work goes in at the subcommittee level on only making sure good things go forward to, and again, as Nathan mentioned, this is just the league staff spending time on it. When it gets to the legislature, it may not even look like this, and we may be opposing what the final version would look like, but typically these are vetted pretty well, and then they move forward. So, John?
Yeah, and Mayor, just to clarify, this would only apply to a public records request. So, for instance, defense counsel to defend it would still have, the prosecutor would
Right.
have to disclose the name of the witness, name of the name of the victims, those kinds of things. So this doesn't affect a person's ability to defend him or herself in the court process. This is strictly
Right.
to sort of, I guess, limit somewhat prurient interest of media, quote
Right.
unquote, to get people's names and all that.
Right. And
'Cause
there
right
was-
now it's easy. Once you get a name, it's even though
Yes.
you can redact the address, it's still pretty easy to find people.
Right, and it was used against the victims and witnesses, kind of being re-victimized. So with a couple of the media inquiries, that's, what I made sure of, that I would clarify here and at the resolutions committee that it was very specific, even though the heading was talking about, of the resolution itself was redacting records, which it never was about records, it was about name only, adding to it from that perspective. So, whenever,
Mayor and council,
Yes.
maybe we can break it out this way. Staff feels pretty comfortable based off of previous council's direction on our legislative agenda at the state level that the first two and the third and second from the last proposed resolutions are going forward with a recommendation to support. That's staff's recommendation. Those middle two and the last one that don't have any checks next to it would need some more discussion or some direction from council. So maybe we can break this up into two things. If the council feels comfortable with staff's recommendation on those proposed resolutions that have check marks next to it, then we can kind of take that off the list. We've got that good, and then we can focus on those other three.
everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Yep. So those four are off.
I would say we support the bottom one.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that on there. So really, it's just a matter, which I wasn't involved with, is the GAHRE. Lisa, did you want to weigh in on number one, since I perceptually would not make your job easier? What would your druthers be for me to go up there and fight for?
Honorable Mayor, Council, on the referendum compliance, it is difficult for us to actually truly enforce what the law says because really the law doesn't give us the authority to actually do any enforcement. So it kind of says, hey, clerk, I want you to, look at this information and kind of determine if it complies, but I don't have any authority to take any action or any steps to truly enforce it. And so, therefore, having more clarity in terms of what specifically I can do.
Right.
And my preference would be to have a list of things that I can do, and in specific situations, what I can do that's similar to the initiative process where they talk about petitions and what rights I have to reject petitions and I don't have to reject petitions. That would make it much clearer for us clerks and make it easier for us to actually inform those individuals that are moving forward with a petition and circulating a petition on what we're actually looking for.
Thanks. So you would be in support of wanting to have some more clarity?
Yes,
From
please.
that, okay.
Mayor and council,
Yes.
it's, while this was couched just now as a benefit to the clerks, I think everybody is disserved by a lack of clarity at the state legislature,
Right.
state statutes. So, I think more than just our clerks are going to benefit from clarity, because people go in, expecting something.
Right.
And the clerk can't help because there's not clarity. And so
Right.
I think clarity would help a lot more than just our clerks.
Good.
Could I get Nathan to describe the next one again? Because what I heard and what I'm reading are two different things.
Yeah, and Nathan, you want to hit on that one about, because my understanding was if you're going from lower office to higher office, you can
move the
move
money.
those funds.
Right.
But if you wanted to go from the legislature back to town council,
See, and that's
you
where
can't move that money. So did I
Yeah,
re-
and I think that's a better option, because you can buy yourself a local seat with the money you're going to get from a state-held office.
Right.
But the language up here says transferring from campaign funds to their local
campaign, they can, this is to have the ability to do it.
Yeah, see, and that's what, I don't support that at all, because it's too easy to buy a local seat. You guys have seen, you put a couple of street signs out, what if they had tens of thousands of dollars to come in and just blow you away?
Right. And I know it was couched in, well, first, was my reading of it correct?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
And secondly, I think the case they were making was it was a fairness issue, right? If you can go in one direction,
Fairness issue and
Bottom up, top down.
quality of candidate recruitment
Right.
came up during the discussion.
okay. So that's kind of where it is. Bill, not in favor of it. Others? Okay. Okay.
I think we have quality candidates.
You want to touch on a particular election in general?
We
or-
used to.
Can I ask for clarification? Is the feeling here for the mayor to oppose this and to vote nay on this, or to remain neutral during the discussion?
I heard nay.
Nay.
Well,
Okay.
let's make sure it's clear, because I think there was some confusion. My read of it is that if you're a local office holder and you have a campaign war chest, you cannot transfer that to run for higher office.
Well, that's
I
not-
understood it the opposite.
Yeah.
But what it says here, though, is this would allow a candidate for local office to transfer campaign contributions to another candidate committee should they instead choose to pursue statewide or legislative office. Then it goes on to say, statewide and legislative candidates do not have their prohibition when running for local office. So I think this is the opposite of it. It would allow you, because I think the point here is the league wants former local government officials to run for higher office because typically they understand local issues and will be more deferential to local. So if I'll give you a good example would be Glendale. Jerry Wires was in the legislature, ran for mayor. He could transfer his legislative war chest to run for mayor of Glendale, but now as the mayor of Glendale, if he wanted to run back for legislative office, he would not be able to transfer his campaign war chest.
And that was the point I was trying to make. I have no problem from a local going up to the state, but I don't like the guys coming from the state coming back
That already
down.
exists, though. That's already in the statutes. So what this is trying to do is create some parity that regardless of what office you hold, this would allow you to transfer, as a local government official, transfer your campaign funds from your current committee, local committee, to a committee for the state legislature or governor or something like that. So I think if that's the point, you may want to consider supporting it unless you get to the meeting and they tell you it's something different.
Right,
Because it
right.
is kind of written a little wonky.
Do you want to just touch on it one more time? Just
Right. So the way I read this is
Let's read it.
statewide and legislative candidates don't have a prohibition from transferring their statewide campaign money to run for local office.
Okay.
But a local office holder cannot transfer campaign contributions from that local office campaign committee to another candidate committee should they choose to run for higher office.
Okay, I had it backwards.
I concur with that read. I've just pulled up the packet and reread it, and I apologize
That's
for
okay. That's why
coming
we
this
have-
close to leading you astray.
That's right. Go find another job as of tomorrow.
That's it, Nathan.
Yeah, you're
That's
in
it.
planning from now on.
So I would be with Bill because, having it go from local to have better statewide candidates,
Yeah.
I would agree with that. So I'm back to a support. Is everybody
Yeah.
okay with the support?
And just as Nathan said too earlier, the proof is, the devil's in the detail, as they
Right.
say. So,
And
you know,
again, I wanted to touch on that. This is just what
Yeah.
staff is going to spend some time on. None of these could end up being enacted, actually, or how the version, that's why we track these bills, on how it starts on the screen and how it would end up in the legislature could be totally different. So this is just the staff time starting point, just to emphasize that point. So, so I think we're okay with clarified.
Yeah, as long as we can clarify.
Sure.
Either at the league, that this
Yeah.
is actually what they're talking
And
about.
there'll be discussions in the
Yeah.
resolution committee as well on that, probably on this one in particular, to get clarity on it. So I think I have good direction from everybody, and I appreciate that. Anybody else want to comment on any of these? I think I'm good. If not, having no more further business, we're adjourned. 2 minutes before 7 o'clock, for the record.